This is question 13 on the higher calculator paper. This is part A and part B is below, but I'll move it up once we finish part A. Okay, looking at this, I've got a right angle triangle. It says the diagram is not drawn accurately. Let's look at what they said. ABC is a right angle triangle. I know that because there's a right angle over there. So it's a right angle triangle. AC is 6 centimeters. There it is. And AB is 13 centimeters. There's that. Work out the length of BC. So they want me to work out this side over here, BC. Give your answer to 3 significant figures. So there is going to be a mark just for writing my answer to 3 significant figures. So I need to make sure that I do that at the very end. Okay. One of the things I know straight away is because this is a right angle triangle and I want to work out a missing side, I need to use Pythagoras. I need to use Pythagoras Theorem. Now whenever you're using Pythagoras Theorem, it's one of these two that you're going to use, SSAS or SSSS. That's square, square, add and square root, or square, square, subtract and square root. If I want to work out the hypotenuse, the longest side, I use the first one. If I want to work out one of the other sides, it's the second one that I'm going to use. And in this case, I know what the hypotenuse is. I want to work out one of the other sides, so I'm going to square these numbers, 13 squared, 6 squared, and then I'm going to subtract it, and the answer that I get, eventually I am going to square root it. So 13 squared, if you get your calculator, you should know what this is. Right, you should know what 13 squared is, but if you don't, it's a calculator paper, so you can always work it out. 13 squared equals 169. Show all stages, don't do it all on the calculator. 6 squared, again, you should know 6 times 6 is 36. I've just done it on the calculator as well, 36. And I want to work out 169, 169, take away 36, and that's 133. So 133. And so to work out my answer, I need to do the square root of 133. The square root of 133, square root 133, and that is going to give me, I'm going to write down all of those numbers. So that's 11.53, 11.5325. 6259. 6259. Okay, I didn't need to write all of those in, but I just did nonetheless. The question said, however, to give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Well, for significant figures, you count from the front. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to cut it off there. I'm only interested in those first 3 numbers, but I need to decide whether I need to do any rounding or not. The next number along is a 3. Because that's less than 5, I'm not going to do any rounding. So my final answer is going to be 11.5. If this number here, where the 3 is, was 5 or more, then I would have rounded up and that would have become 11.6. But because it's not, my answer is 11.5. Going on to part B now. Okay, in part B, we have another triangle. Right, this time it says the triangle PQR is a right angle triangle. PR is 17 centimeters. PQ is 25 centimeters. Work out the size of angle RPQ. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. So let's find this angle first of all. RPQ. R to P to Q. RPQ, so that means this is the angle that I want to find. Okay, that's the angle I want to find, and because they haven't given it a letter or anything of that sort, I'm just going to call it X. I'm going to put X in there, and that's okay to do that, right? I'm doing this for your benefit, but also if I was doing this in the exam, I'd do exactly the same thing. This question is worth 3 marks. Now, unlike part A, where they wanted me to work out a side, this time they want me to work out or to find an angle. And when you want to find angles in a right angle triangle, it's very likely you're going to use or be using some trigonometry. And because I know that now, I know I need to use some trigonometry, I'm going to write down straight away SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. A. And I'm going to write it in that sort of zigzag fashion, right? So 3 triangles, and that's going to help me quite a lot in deciding which trig function to use, sine, cos or tan, and then what calculation to do in the end as well. So first of all, I am going to label the sides relative to the angle there. That side is opposite the angle, so I'm going to put an O there. Opposite the right angle triangle is the hypotenuse, so I'm going to put a H there. And the side that is left over, or as someone pointed out to me before, between the angle and the right angle, that's the adjacent side. Okay. Now, I know the hypotenuse, I know the adjacent, I don't know the opposite, so I'm not going to be interested in that. And I'm going to look for one of the 3 trig ratios that has A and H in it, adjacent and hypotenuse in it. And I could see here that that particular one, cos, has A and H in it. To work out a missing angle, I'm going to cover up the cos, the C, because it's an angle that I want to work out. And what that means is I'm going to be doing, so to work out x, I want to do the inverse cos. So whenever you're working out an angle, it's going to be inverse sine, inverse cos, or inverse tan. Because it's cos, I'm going to do the inverse cos, and I'm going to do the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. Because A is above H, it's going to be adjacent divided by hypotenuse. So that's 17, which is the adjacent side. I'm going to divide that by 25. Okay, and you can see how I've set that out. I've put brackets, I've put everything that I need there, and I've got a couple of marks already. Right, I just need to use the calculator to work out my answer. Now, if I shuffle this across here, to find the inverse cos, I need to press Shift and then cos. Right, and you can see that that's come up straight away. And I do 17 divided by 25, close that bracket. Okay, and I want to now work it out. Okay, I've got 47.156. I'm going to write that down over here. 47.156. And there's several numbers that come up after that. I'm not going to write it all down this time. The question wants me to write my answer, or give my answer, to 1 decimal place. So unlike previously where it's significant figures and I was counting from the front, because it says 1 decimal place, I'm going to find the decimal point and count from the decimal point. Right? So that's 1 decimal place, and I'm going to cut it off there. Just as before, however, I need to look at the next number along. And if that's 5 or more, I will need to be doing a bit of rounding, so rounding up. So because that's 5 or more, my answer is going to be 47 point, because that's 5, I need to add on 1 to this one over here, and that's going to be 47.2. So in the answer space, I'm going to write 47.2, and they've already written degrees over there. So the answer is 47.2 degrees. Okay, this is a pretty straightforward question, as long as you know how and you know the techniques. But I suggest you look at this a couple of times, make sure you know how to do it, and if you get one similar to it, you can get full marks in it.